The subway car screamed as it rushed through the tunnel, metal grinding against metal, lights flickering like they couldn't decide whether to stay alive. Claire Walker stood gripping a pole, her knuckles pale, her breath already shallow. She told herself it was just another ride, just another crowded evening in New York. But the walls felt like they were closing in. Her chest tightened first, then her vision blurred. The noise grew louder, too loud, voices stacking on top of each other until they became one crushing roar. Her heart slammed against her ribs as if trying to escape. Not here, please not here. She slid down onto the dirty floor of the subway car, knees pulled to her chest, gasping. A few passengers noticed, most didn't. One woman frowned, annoyed. A man stepped back, afraid. Someone muttered, "She's probably on something." Claire's world narrowed into a single terrifying thought. "I'm dying." She clawed at her throat, unable to breathe, tears streaking down her face. The train didn't stop. It never did when you needed it to. Then a shadow fell over her. "Hey," a calm voice said, low and steady. "You're not dying." She looked up through the panic and saw him, a homeless man, unshaven, wrapped in layers of worn clothes that smelled of rain in the street. His hair was gray and tangled, his face carved with deep lines, but his eyes were steady, kind, anchored. "Look at me," he said softly, "just me." Claire tried, failed. Her lungs burned. "I can't," she choked. "I can't breathe." "You can," he said. "You just forgot how for a moment. Happens to the best of us." He crouched in front of her, ignoring the stares. "Put your hand here," he said, placing her shaking hand against his chest. "Feel that?" His heartbeat was slow, solid. "Now breathe with me," he said. "In, 4 seconds, hold, out." He breathed exaggeratedly, giving her something to follow. Again and again. Slowly, so slowly she almost didn't notice, the world eased its grip. Her chest loosened, air returned, the roaring quieted. Tears kept coming, but now they were different, relieved, exhausted. "That's it," he murmured. "You're back." The train screeched to a stop. Doors opened, people flooded out and in. Life continued, indifferent. Claire looked at him, really looked. "Thank you," she whispered. "You saved me." He smiled, a small, sad curve of his lips. "Nah, you saved yourself. I just reminded you how." She dug into her bag, pulled out cash. He gently pushed her hand away. "Don't," he said. "Just promise me something." "What?" "Whatever you're running from, don't let it turn you hard. The world does that enough on its own." Before she could reply, the doors closed. The train moved. He stood, fading back into the crowd, back into invisibility. Claire never saw him again, but she never forgot him. Years passed. Pain doesn't disappear, it changes shape. Claire's life before that night had been a quiet disaster. A father who drank and blamed, a mother who stayed silent, a college professor who crossed lines and then destroyed her credibility when she spoke up, friends who advised her to move on, administrators who buried the complaint. The injustice didn't scream, it whispered. It told her she didn't matter. After the subway, something shifted. Not healing, not peace, but resolve. She threw herself into medical school with a quiet fury. Sleepless nights, endless exams, a relentless voice in her head telling her she had to become someone who could help because no one had helped her when it mattered. She learned how fragile the human body was, how much damage could be done quietly, how survival was often mistaken for strength. By the time she became Dr. Claire Walker, emergency medicine had carved sharp lines into her face and steel into her spine. She was calm under pressure, precise, respected. But some nights, when the ER was quiet, she remembered a subway car and a stranger's heartbeat. The man's life unraveled differently. His name was Daniel Reed. Once he had been a construction foreman, a husband, a father. Then a workplace accident shattered his back. Painkillers followed, then dependency, then termination. Medical bills piled up. His wife tried, she really did, but love has limits when survival is on the line. She took their son and left. Daniel fought. Rehab, odd jobs, relapses. Each fall pushed him further down until the system stopped seeing him altogether. He learned how invisible a man could become. But even at the bottom, he noticed things, other people's pain, fear in strangers' eyes. He had nothing left to lose, which made kindness cheap and easy. That night on the subway, he saw a young woman drowning in herself. He recognized it instantly. Panic wore many faces, but it always felt the same. Helping her didn't save him. It didn't change his life. It was just a moment of being human in a world that had forgotten how. Years later, the pain in his chest started as a whisper, then a scream. The ambulance doors burst open at 2:13 a.m. 58-year-old male found unresponsive behind a bus station. The paramedic rattled off. No ID. Possible cardiac event. BP unstable. Claire stepped forward, already pulling on gloves. Get him on the monitor. Let's move. They wheeled him in, clothes filthy, face gray. Another homeless man. Another anonymous body the system would quietly fail if no one fought for him. Claire placed her stethoscope on his chest. Her breath caught. That heartbeat. Slow. Familiar. Her eyes moved to his face. Older now. Thinner. But the eyes, when they fluttered open for a split second, she knew them. It felt like the world tilted. No, she whispered. Not you. She pushed the emotion down where it couldn't interfere. He's crashing, she snapped. Prep for intubation. I want labs. Now. As the team moved, memories slammed into her. His voice, his breathing, his words. Don't let it turn you hard. She worked with ruthless focus, hand steady, mind razor sharp. When his heart stopped, she didn't hesitate. Clear. The shock jolted his body. Nothing. Again. On the third attempt, the monitor flickered. A rhythm returned. Claire exhaled shakily. Hours later, he lay unconscious, but alive. She stood at his bedside long after her shift ended, staring at a man who had saved her life without ever knowing it. And now the roles were reversed. Daniel woke to white walls and the smell of antiseptic. His body felt heavy, bruised from the inside out. A woman sat nearby, reading his chart. "You're awake," she said gently. He nodded. "Guess I didn't die." "Not tonight." He studied her face, clean, tired, professional. Something tugged at his memory. "You look familiar," he said. She smiled sadly. "You once told me I wasn't dying, on a subway." His eyes widened. "The girl," he whispered. "You were—" "Having a panic attack," she finished. "You helped me breathe." Silence settled between them, thick and fragile. "Well," he said hoarsely, "looks like you returned the favor." "I didn't return it. I owed it." She pulled up a chair. "Do you know why I became a doctor?" He shook his head. "Because the world is very good at hurting people quietly and very bad at fixing it." He laughed weakly. "Sounds about right." Over the next days, Claire fought battles Daniel didn't even know were happening, arguing with administrators, securing charity care, refusing to let him be discharged back onto the street. This was her revenge, not against him, but against the system that had taught her cruelty through neglect. The moral conflict burned inside her. She wanted justice for herself, for him, for every unseen person. But justice wasn't loud. It didn't look like punishment. It looked like persistence. Before his discharge, she brought him papers, housing assistance, rehab placement, follow-up care. "I don't understand," he said quietly, "why you're doing all this." She met his eyes. "Because years ago, when I had nothing but fear, you treated me like I mattered." He swallowed hard. Months later, Daniel sat on a park bench, clean clothes, steadier hands. Recovery was slow, painful, but real. Claire watched him from a distance, unseen. She didn't approach. Some connections weren't meant to continue. They were meant to complete a circle. As she turned away, her phone buzzed, a message from the hospital legal office. Her old case, the professor, new evidence, a pattern, charges finally moving forward. The injustice that had broken her was being named. Claire closed her eyes. Revenge hadn't come through destruction. It came through survival, through becoming someone who could stand still in chaos and choose compassion without losing herself. She walked forward, lighter. Some people save your life without ever knowing it, and sometimes the greatest revenge against a cruel world is proving that kindness can survive it.